Hey, what's up, everybody? Back with another video finally. So, I'm trying a couple of new things right now. I've got a microphone. I realize I'm in my kitchen. There's a little bit of an echo, so hopefully I can maybe in the future do these videos, find some place with a little less echo. Uh, got my new background. Hope you like it. Anyway, so I've been out of the country for a while. I am finally back in Kyiv, and I'm going to start doing some more travel videos when the weather's better. But until then, kind of at the Mother Nature's mercy. So I thought I'd do a couple videos on some relevant topics right now. So many of you have seen the Tucker Carlson interview with Putin. Many of you haven't, but maybe you're planning to. So I wanted to do a little bit of a reaction to that, and plus give a little bit of a warning or a caveat to those people who haven't seen it yet that are planning on seeing it. So right off the bat, I will tell you, please go to the link and I'm sorry, please go to the video description. I'm going to upload a link on there, and I would like you to read that article. I forget if it's by Psychology Day, it's by Psychology Magazine, and it is entitled The Weaponization of Misinformation, and it speaks directly about Russian maskirovka, or the art of military deception, and how the Kremlin as a whole, even back when they were KGB, it was Maskarova then, and it's just how they've crafted this based on reflective cognitive theories, principles and theories in psychology. And so please, if you've seen the interview, please read the article. Go back to watch the interview. If you haven't, please read the article prior to watching the interview. It will kind of tip you off to some of the techniques and things like that that Putin you'll see used during the interview, and go from there. So for me, I've studied Maskarovka for going on 15 years now. I'm pretty well versed in it, and everything that Putin said in his interview with Tucker, I haven't heard anything new. It was all the same thing that he's repeated time and time again, starting from uh, the history of how Ukrainian owes its statehood to Russia. That's just not true. Kiev proper, which was the capital of the Kievan Rus, just celebrated its 1,152nd birthday last year, and I think Moscow was like 930 years old, something like that. It might be a little off on the math. I know Kiev was 1,152 years old, so considerably, a couple hundred years maybe older than Moscow. And so it's funny that, like I said, that's a narrative that's been used. One of the techniques that Putin uses, which I've noticed in his video, he uses the two truths and a lie technique, where he will say two truths about a subject and then insert a lie. And usually it's a lie that most people don't know, and they can't confirm it right off the bat. But then psychologically, they just think, well, if these other two things he said are true, and I know them to be true, then this most likely is true as well. And it's not. It's just a Maskarova technique that they've used for a long time. Like I said, while I didn't hear anything new in the video, what really disturbed me, and I knew it was going to, if any of you follow me on my personal Facebook page, you'll see prior to the interview, I made a post and I linked this article that I'm going to put in the video description. And I said that Tucker's going to expose millions of people to Russian propaganda, and they don't have the requisite skill sets or knowledge to be able to recognize and then basically counter against these narratives that are being pushed. So like I said, it's nothing I hadn't heard before. He talked about the blamed the the Euromaidan revolution in 2014. He blamed that on a CIA backed coup. That's one of his things. I've talked about that in some of my previous videos. The reason that narrative came about is because the Russian state does not fundamentally believe in the power of people and the power of protest, and it doesn't believe that a government would change its course of action based on people protesting, because you see how oppressive they are to protesters in Russia. So Putin and the Kremlin needed an internal narrative to its people so they wouldn't understand this grassroots revolution fomented change within the government. They couldn't have that happen, so they created this boogeyman, which was, the only way this could happen, it was a CIA-backed coup, and that's just not how it was. So I don't want to spend a whole lot of time on this video because I could sit there. I mean, everybody else out here is doing these videos on, line by line. Well, Putin said this, he said this, he said this. Most of it's not true. He said he used the line he always uses about, NATO promises not to, expand one more inch. And it was a Secretary of State under Reagan who gave a hypothetical solution that they would not expand east, and he was specifically talking about into East Berlin. This wasn't codified in any type of agreement or anything. And and the other thing is too, they did not predict the collapse of the Soviet Union and then the eventual physical collapse of the Berlin Wall at that time. So at the time they were talking about they would not try to expand into East Berlin. So that's where Putin gets that not one more inch thing. And he talks about expansionism a lot. He talked about how the fight between the Poles and Russia, and how the Polish attacked Russia, and we kind of left out it was Russia and Germany together that attacked Poland, and then they were going to basically split the spoils. So a lot of historical inaccuracies and things like that. One thing that really disturbed me, and I knew this was going to happen, and I talked about this in my Facebook post. So many people in the comments I've read all across social media were thanking Tucker for letting them hear the truth. I watched people say things like, "I'm so angry at my own government for lying to me about all this." It's like, you're going to believe Vladimir Putin? Putin, his foreign minister Lavrov, and his deputy to the UN for 4 months prior to the invasion sit there and told everybody, all the international press told everybody, they are not going to invade. We know now by captured documents from Russian POWs that they were telling the world this up to 2 months after Putin had already signed the declaration for the invasion, already put his signature on it, and they were sitting there bold-faced lying to people. This is why Putin can't be trusted. He reneges on all of his agreements. He wants to, I loved how he spun the story about the Minsk agreements and stuff like this, how Kyiv is the one who did not want to implement the Minsk agreements. Like I said, I'm not going to go into all that because so many other people are doing reaction videos and things like that. I don't want to really just go down a rabbit hole that everybody else says. My big thing, I wanted to introduce everybody to Maskirovka. It's the Russian art of deception, military deception, hybrid warfare, weaponization of information. That is something that Russia is very good at, because basically when the Soviet Union collapsed, there was no money. However, they wanted to still see themselves as a near peer competitor to U.S., especially U.S. hegemony, Western hegemony, and their intelligence services. So they started creating all these doctrines and practices that didn't cost a lot of money, but they have used psychological traits and things like that and developed their tradecraft over decades now. So a lot of people have never heard of Maskirovka. I believe Jen Psaki used the term one time when she was press secretary for Biden. It kind of shocked me that she said that. But like I said, I just kind of wanted to give everybody a little bit of an introduction into the art of Russian military deception, or the weaponization of misinformation. You're going to see that as we get closer to the election. One of the things I did want to point out, last month I noticed it, and then yesterday I noticed it as well. Lavrov said it at I believe it was a UN General Assembly meeting, and then Putin repeated it yesterday. And he was talking about how the invasion is just costing American taxpayers money. You see, the Kremlin has all of its little online spies out there, and don't think they don't read what people back in the States are arguing about. So they're picking up people's arguments and using it because they know that foments emotional responses within the people. And I'm going to do a video soon on where the funding actually comes from, what we're doing with the funding, and how it's being used. I'm going to do one specifically on how it's tracked, military aid is tracked. I don't think, as far as what the funds are being used for and how they're being tracked, I don't think our government, the U.S. government, is doing a very good job of conveying that message to the American public. And I think that's critical, especially at a time when the House and the Senate are voting on continued aid to Ukraine. So I think the White House, or even Department of Defense spokesperson, could do a better job in conveying to the American voters on how your money's being used and how it's being tracked. And I can tell you right now, I've talked about this in some of my other videos, we have politicians sitting there saying no more money to Ukraine without oversight. I see people constantly posting there's absolutely no oversight and accountability. Yes, there is. Absolutely there is. I'm going to do a whole video on that. I will do a screen record, so I will talk to you. I have my screen up as well. We're going to go through it all. I'll introduce you to the JSOP, the Joint Strategic Oversight Plan for Ukraine, the 3 offices of Inspector General who are conducting oversight and accountability. We'll go into Presidential Drawdown Authority, how they're using that to purchase weapons for Ukraine out of our military budget than we're using to buy more military equipment with, which is why I don't understand people are upset, because we're using the defense budget to basically buy new equipment for the U.S. while we send our old stuff over. Like, what do you think we use a defense budget for? Anyway, I'm going to go into all that in a video. I'm going down a rabbit hole here, but like I said, please read the article. If you've seen the video, or I'll say if you've seen the interview, read the article, watch the video again, and if you haven't seen the interview, read the article before you watch the interview. And anybody that you can think of to pass that article and introduce them to military deception, Russian military deception, weaponization of misinformation, I'd appreciate it. I wonder if following Tucker's interview, the Kremlin's going to give more interviews to Western journalists or anything. I'm not sure. They're probably judging online reaction and just on reaction, amongst government leaders and stuff like that, international leaders, probably judging the reaction to the interview, seeing what just basically feeling it out, and then probably deciding if it was beneficial to them, and if so, then they will probably start to grant more interviews. The more you hear Putin talk, the more you hear Lavrov talk, especially when you hear I forget his name, the ambassador to the UN. Just realize they are using this weaponization of misinformation, and you'll hear they will all parrot the same narratives over and over, and all the narratives they parrot have been debunked, overtly debunked, and repeatedly debunked. So that's it. Don't want to do this too long. Go ahead and wrap this up. I'm going to get some new videos out soon, and as soon as the weather clears up, I'll get a few more travel videos out too. As always, thanks for watching. See you soon.